Welcome back. More than 5.2 million workers in the U.S. filed for unemployment benefits last week. This brings the cumulative number to just over 22 million in just a month. Now, the numbers come after a record drop in retail sales in March and the biggest decline in factory output since 1946. The figures underscore the deep economic cost of the battle against COVID-19. And at the same time, U.S. President Donald Trump is preparing for the economy to reopen. He says the country has passed the peak of the outbreak, citing his aggressive strategy against the coronavirus. Simon Marks joins us now from Washington, D.C. Simon, so the U.S. now experiencing a deepening economic slump, seeing how nearly 22 million Americans have filed for unemployment benefits.
Yeah, and absolutely that's the critical point, Glenda. 22 million Americans have filed for unemployment benefit, but it doesn't present a true picture of the national situation because there are lots of Americans out there that may have chosen not to file for unemployment benefit or in some cases are not eligible for unemployment benefit. So the real number is going to be much higher even than the 22 million that we're talking about now. 22 million boosted by the news published by the Department of Labor just a short while ago that an additional 5.24 million people signed on for unemployment benefits within the last week. That is slightly higher than many analysts had anticipated. They thought the number was going to be around 5 million. It is less than the 6.6 million who signed on for unemployment benefits for the first time 1 week ago. But, you know, to put all this into short-term historical perspective, if you had looked back at the state of the U.S. economy 6 weeks ago and said 6 weeks from now there are going to be at least 22 million people without work in the United States, that is a simply staggering, absolutely unprecedented in history moment for the U.S. economy. And the challenge here is that these jobs have been lost much faster than economists suspect they will be created as the United States begins to come out of all of this.
Yeah, those unemployment numbers rising, the death toll also rising as well, Simon. But despite that, President Trump is due to unveil plans to reopen the economy.
Yes, I mean, he said last night at the White House that governors all over the country were chomping at the bit to reopen the country's economy. The reality is that it's President Trump who is chomping at the bit, and he's been chomping for many weeks now, initially hoping to reopen the economy right after the Easter holiday here. That, of course, didn't work out. Later today, here in the United States, he's going to unveil what he says are his proposals that he's going to be discussing today with the governors of all 50 American states to get things on the road to something approximating normalcy. But there are governors out there who continue to challenge his claim that he has total authority to determine exactly how and when the economy is going to be reopened. So some tough constitutional conversations lie ahead in that regard. And there are also questions still about emergency preparedness here in the United States, even though the numbers are beginning to level off in terms of coronavirus infections. There are still crises in many hospital systems, and the Wall Street Journal is reporting in its Thursday edition that millions of masks and other items of protective personal equipment are stuck in China waiting for official permission from the Chinese government to be shipped to the United States because of all sorts of export restrictions put in place as a result of the trade war between the United States and China. You can definitely expect Donald Trump to face questions about that and his plan to reopen the economy when he holds his briefing a little bit later here today at the White House.
I know you'll be keeping an eye on it for us as well. Thanks very much for that. Simon Marks speaking to us from Washington, D.C.